Welcome back to Mega Stadiums. Today we're diving deep into the rich history of three of the most legendary football grounds in England: Stamford Bridge, Anfield, and Old Trafford. From their earliest constructions to the monumental redevelopments that shaped them into the stadiums we know today, this is the full story of their evolution. No comparisons, no rankings, just pure history, transformation, and passion brick by brick. Let's get started. Stamford Bridge, Chelsea FC. Stamford Bridge officially opened on April 28, 1877, originally serving as an athletics venue for the London Athletic Club. The pitch was surrounded by a running track, and a single covered stand, designed by the renowned Archibald Leach, could seat around 5,000 spectators. Leach's design closely resembled his work at Craven Cottage, showcasing his early influence on British stadium architecture. In 1904, brothers Gus and Joseph Mears acquired the site with the intention of creating a football stadium. A year later, Chelsea Football Club was founded to occupy Stamford Bridge. Once again, Leach was brought in to reimagine the venue as a football ground, with initial plans for a massive 100,000-seat stadium. Though that figure was never fully realized, the stadium quickly became a major venue in English football. During the 1920s, it hosted several FA Cup finals, and in 1945, it famously welcomed a crowd of over 100,000 spectators to watch Chelsea face Dynamo Moscow, many of whom stood on the track surrounding the pitch. In its early years, most of Stamford Bridge's seating areas were open terraces. Only the East Stand and the Shed End, the club's famous South Terrace, had covered or dedicated structures. The stadium began expanding more significantly in the 1930s. By the 1960s, Chelsea embarked on modernizing the stadium further. The old western terracing was replaced with a brand new three-tier west stand in the 1964-65 season, accommodating around 13,500 supporters. In the early 1970s, the club began a major redevelopment project. The original East Stand was torn down in 1973 and replaced by a modern, three-tier cantilevered structure completed in 1974. However, financial difficulties halted further renovations, and the running track remained beneath parts of the stadium for years to come. Following the Taylor Report in the early 1990s, which mandated all-seater stadiums in English football, Stamford Bridge underwent a full transformation. The West Stand was completely rebuilt between 1997 and 2001, now featuring executive boxes and three modern tiers. In 1994, the original Shed End terrace was demolished and replaced with a seated version, which opened in time for the 1997-98 season. By 2001, all four stands, West Stand, East Stand, North Stand, known today as the Matthew Harding Stand, and the Shed End, have been modernized, roofed, and brought closer to the pitch, creating a more intimate bowl-like configuration. Today, Stamford Bridge has a seating capacity of around 40,000. While its size may not match some of Europe's newest mega stadiums, Stamford Bridge remains one of the Premier League's most iconic grounds. Its record attendance, set in 1935 during a match between Chelsea and Arsenal, reached an astonishing 82,905 fans, a testament to the stadium's grand scale in the preceding era. Over the decades, Stamford Bridge has hosted historic moments, from FA Cup finals in the 1920s to legendary friendlies like the post-war clash with Dynamo Moscow in 1945, cementing its place in football history. Anfield Road, Liverpool FC. Anfield was built in 1884 and officially opened in September of that year. Originally, it served as the home ground for Everton Football Club. The land was owned by brewer John Orrell, and Everton's club president, John Hooting, later purchased the site. However, a disagreement over rising rent led Everton to leave Anfield in 1892, moving across Stanley Park to build Goodison Park. In response, Hooting founded a new club, Liverpool Football Club, to occupy Anfield, and the stadium has been their home ever since. A new chapter began in 1895 when a covered main stand was constructed designed by Archibald Leach. This early stand, with its distinctive gabled roof, seated approximately 3,000 spectators and helped define the traditional look of English football grounds. By 1903, new developments were taking shape. A timber and iron Anfield Road end stand was erected, and a vast open terrace was built at the opposite end of the stadium. In 1928, the Kop was completely rebuilt and roofed, becoming one of the most iconic stands in world football. At its peak, it could hold up to 30,000 standing fans, creating a deafening wall of sound that terrified visiting teams. As the decades passed, the ground continued to evolve. In 1957, floodlights were installed, allowing evening matches to be played under the lights. Between 1963 and 1965, the Kemlyn Road Stand, now known as the Sir Kenny Dalglish Stand, was redeveloped as a cantilevered structure with seating for around 6,700 fans. Around the same period, the Anfield Road was also refurbished. The main stand underwent a major redevelopment in 1973. The original structure was partially demolished and extended backwards to increase capacity. The Duke of Kent officially opened the new cantilever main stand on March 10, 1973. In the early 1980s, further improvements followed. The paddock area in front of the main stand was converted to seating, and the Anfield Road end was also updated with new seating installations. In 1982, the now famous Shankly Gates were installed as a tribute to legendary manager Bill Shankly. In the aftermath of the Hillsborough disaster in 1989, Anfield was converted into an all-seater stadium in line with the Taylor Report's recommendations. For the club's centenary celebrations, the Kemlyn Road Stand was transformed into a two-tier structure, opening on September 1, 1992, with a capacity of around 11,000, including executive boxes. In 1994, the Spienkop was also rebuilt as an all-seater single-tier stand with a capacity of approximately 12,400. By 1998, the Anfield Road Stand had been replaced with a new two-tier structure, completing the modernization of all four stands. These renovations helped bring Anfield's capacity into the mid-40,000s. But the most ambitious developments came under the ownership of Fenway Sports Group. In 2015, the club began a major expansion of the main stand, adding a third tier and dramatically altering the stadium skyline. The new stand officially opened on September 9, 2016, raising the stadium's capacity to over 54,000. Then, in early 2024, a new upper tier was completed on the Anfield Road end, bringing the total capacity to around 61,000. Beyond its architecture, Anfield's identity is shaped by its soul. The "This is Anfield" sign in the players' tunnel is one of football's most iconic images, while the Shankly Gates remain a proud symbol of the club's legacy. Over its 140-year history, Anfield has hosted unforgettable moments, each shaped by the ground's evolving structure and the passionate supporters who fill it. Old Trafford, Manchester United. Old Trafford officially opened its doors on February 19, 1910, with Manchester United facing Liverpool in a match that marked the beginning of a new football era. The club's chairman at the time, John Henry Davies, had commissioned famed architect Archibald Leach, renowned for his work on stadiums across Britain, to design the venue. Leach originally envisioned a colossal structure capable of holding 100,000 spectators, with a single covered stand on the south side and open terraces on the other three. However, budget limitations forced a reduction in size, and the final capacity at launch was approximately 80,000. In 1911 and 1915, it hosted the FA Cup final, including the 1915 match, famously known as the Khaki Final, due to the high number of uniformed soldiers in the crowd. During the interwar years, the stadium underwent gradual improvements. In 1936, an 80-yard roof was installed over the north stand, known then as United Road. In the years that followed, Manchester United was forced to play its home matches at Main Road, the home of rivals Manchester City, while Old Trafford was painstakingly rebuilt. The club finally returned to its own ground in August 1949, though the facilities were still incomplete and lacked full roofing. Post-war reconstruction continued into the 1950s. By 1951, all stands except the Stretford end were covered, and in 1957, floodlights were installed to enable night matches. The 1966 World Cup provided the perfect incentive for further modernization. In 1965, the North Stand was transformed with a pioneering cantilever roof, which eliminated obstructing pillars and added Britain's first stadium corporate boxes. The 1970 FA Cup final replay was held at Old Trafford, drawing over 62,000 fans. In 1971, a perimeter fence was added following a series of pitch invasions. In 1973, the East Stand received a matching cantilever design, bringing the club one step closer to Leach's original vision of a unified, four-sided stadium. In 1995, the original North Stand was demolished and replaced with a massive three-tier structure that opened in time for Euro '96. This alone added over 25,000 seats and brought the capacity to more than 55,000. The upgrades didn't stop there. In 2000, a second tier was added to the East Stand, followed by the same treatment on the West Stand. These changes raised the total capacity to roughly 68,200, making Old Trafford the largest stadium in the United Kingdom at the time. The final major expansion phase came in 2005 to 2006, when new tiers were added to the stadium's northeast and northwest corners, boosting the total capacity to 75,957. Today, Old Trafford holds around 74,000 for football matches, maintaining its status as one of the most iconic and grandest arenas in the sport. What a journey through time. If you enjoyed exploring the evolution of Stamford Bridge, Anfield, and Old Trafford, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Mega Stadiums for more stadium stories from around the world. Got a favorite era or transformation from one of these legendary grounds? Let us know in the comments. And make sure to turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching. See you next week.